Hello, YouTube. This is the Bucket coming at you today with another 1911. Actually, no, I'm not coming at you today with a 1911. I'm coming at you today with a gun that is directly inspired by the Colt 1911. This is a Star Model A Super, often referred to as a Model Super. This comes from the España. Star has a long history of firearms. They started producing Spanish rubies for the French in World War I. After the fall of Germany in World War I, there was a lot of really good Spanish steel, a lot of good craftsmen, but there just wasn't the need for firearms like there used to be. So a lot of those smaller firms really kind of dried up. And you saw companies like Astra, like Star, they kind of stuck with it. And they really moved from a lot of those straight blowback design guns, or Star did at least. Astra made a lot of 9mm blowback guns, but Star said, let's make a locked breech firearm. And they said we could design something ourselves, or else we could take a little bit of the copy bug and steal an idea from a better designer. And that's kind of what they did. Now, this is a late 40s example. The Super is the last in the variations, but as they went through, they refined and it became more and more like the 1911, and some of which I don't know if they really understood why they were copying, but they did. The initial model had a slide mounted safety. They ended up adjusting that to be more like the Colt. Ironically enough, around the 1920s, when Colt changed their mainspring housing to have the bump in it, which was for ergonomics as well. They don't have a mainspring housing, but they still put that same bump in the back, which makes it really, really comfortable to shoot. The way they have it locked up is a little bit different, which I think was an improvement, which I think was really good. There's some things I do like. There's some things I don't like about this firearm. For instance, they do have a magazine disconnect safety. Never been a big fan of that, for sure, but they did do some cool things that I'll show you here in a minute. They did retain kind of the 1911 pre-A1 style hammer even after the A1 came out. The sight picture, I do think the sights are a little bit better than the military sights. They have a front dot here and a little paint back here on the back. It does feel really, really good in the hands. I do love proof marks. They have lots of these things. I call them pineapple proof marks. They did put the serial number on the slide and the serial number on the frame, and they even put the serial number on the barrel. This was imported, so it does have a somewhat discreet import mark and a Spain on it. One of the things that I really like about this firearm is its disassembly. So you take out the mag, make sure you got nothing going on there. You just put this lever forward and the slide comes right off. You'll notice that the regular pin that doubles as a slide stop, slide release that goes across isn't involved in this, and they use more of a Browning style lockup, and you can actually see it on this barrel. They do still have the lugs on the top, which is more like, well, that would be like a Browning high power as well. The disassembly, they improved on that. You just go ahead and you take out a captive recoil spring. You do still have a barrel bushing, which that just rotates out, and then the barrel just slides out the front once you get it off the lugs. And of course, that's always fun to do. There you go. And she comes out. Now, one of the major problems with this particular firearm is the Spanish used the 9mm Largo round, which is dimensionally the same as the 9mm Steyr, and actually 38 Super will actually chamber in this particular firearm. The problem is this, even though the projectiles are the same and the casing is larger, the pressure behind a 9mm Luger is a lot more potent than a 9mm Largo. But this was the Spanish round that they used. This is what they used in Spain. So if you can get 9mm Largo, this gun works out perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is they haven't really produced 9mm Largo in a long time. And actually, Star produced a gun that looks absolutely identical to this, and it's called the Star Model B, that was really designed for export. And actually, the Germans bought some during World War II that were chambered in 9mm Luger. So when these got imported, a company started making some aftermarket barrels so they could sell more of these firearms on the American market. Now, the problem with this is a person that understands what they're looking at could take this is the 9mm barrel, and I could put a 9mm Largo, and that clearly will not go. That's just not going to make it work. A 9mm will chamber just right, just the way you want to see a round chamber. If I take the 9mm Largo barrel and put one in, chamber's perfect. But when I put in the 9mm Parabellum, it's going to go in there fine. Now, anybody that knows much about guns knows that that's not the way that's supposed to look. But a firing pin could hit that. The chamber is not designed for this. You can see it goes in way too far, and you're going to end up with damage to the barrel, damage to your frame, damage to your slide, and you could have a big naughty boom boom happening, and that could really cause some damage to you yourself as well. I really picked this firearm up. I got it on a trade, and I wanted to see if the barrel conversion would really work. From the research that I found, this is actually a Star Super B mag, designed so the feed lips will actually hold on to the round a little bit longer, which should help with feeding. So what this is really about is less about the gun, because you can find out lots and lots and lots of information online about this particular firearm. It's more to determine whether or not these conversion barrels really work, or if they were just a gimmick to try to get people to buy a firearm that you really are going to struggle finding ammunition for. So I'm really stoked to see if these work. Actually, I probably don't want to do it that way. I probably want to put the barrel pushing in first. I do like the fact that these Stars, the assembly, the disassembly is a lot easier than a 1911. I'm surprised an American company hasn't really come up with a design where they implement a lot of the same features that Star did. One of the things I love so much about this is once you get it to right here, you flip that switch and she is locked and ready to go. There's some really cool things about this. We're going to go ahead, we're going to lock this slide open. We're going to put her down here. We're going to take this Star B magazine. Now, this is not an A magazine. This is designed for the 9mm. I'm going to put a snap cap in it. And I've been pretty excited as I play with this particular firearm. Everything has chambered. I like the fact that there's a loaded chamber indicator right here. And it seems to kick the rounds out. Now, we're not going to know if this particular firearm is going to work the way we want it to until we actually get it to the range. So I'm going to take this to the Goat Whisperer's Ranch, and we're going to see if we can get this firearm to do some bangity-bangity with both the little amount of 9mm Largo that I do have and some of this beautiful 9mm Luger, and we're going to see if this gun will run. I want to thank you guys all for watching our video tonight. If you have any comments, please put them in the comments below. The likes, the shares, everything is really, really appreciated. I really enjoy doing this, and I want to, once again, remind you guys to you stay classy, YouTube.
I learned a lesson. Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.